Imagine climbing into your car for a routine drive, pressing the brake pedal, and feeling it give way, lifeless under your foot. Then picture learning. It wasn't a random failure, but a deliberate act by your own brother, the one you've trusted since childhood. I'm Margaret, and when I spotted oil stains under my garage floor, I uncovered a betrayal that shattered my family. My brother's secret affair with my husband and a chilling plan to silence me turned my quiet life upside down. Join me as I share a story of deceit, revenge, and the strength to rebuild from ashes. This is going to shock you. I'm 58, a retired librarian living in a small town in Georgia. My home is a cozy 2-story house with a wraparound porch, a well-kept lawn, and a garage filled with memories of family projects. Nestled in a neighborhood where folks wave from their front yards. This house has been my sanctuary for decades. My husband, Tom, 60, is a retired insurance agent. Always the calm anchor with a warm laugh. Or so I thought. We've been married 25 years, building a life that seemed unshakable, filled with Sunday dinners and holiday traditions. But even the sturdiest homes can hide cracks. My brother, Daniel, or Danny as we call him, is 55. A mechanic with a charming grin and a trail of bad decisions. He lives a few streets over, always swinging by to tinker with my car or share a beer with Tom. Danny's been my little brother forever. The kid I bandaged up after falls. The one I bailed out of trouble more times than I can count. Our niece, Sarah, his 30-year-old daughter, is a nurse who lights up our family gatherings with her quick wit and warm hugs. Then there's Eleanor, my best friend at 62, a retired school counselor who cuts through lies like a knife. We've been a tight family, leaning on each other through life's ups and downs. Or so I believed. This summer, something shifted. Danny started showing up at odd hours, often past midnight, saying he was checking my car. I'd find him in the garage, tools scattered, claiming he was tweaking the oil or adjusting the tires. Tom, meanwhile, was pulling away, his warmth replaced by a distant edge. He'd spend entire days with Danny, talking about fishing trips or fixing up old cars. But he'd come home empty-handed, his stories vague and unconvincing. I told myself it was just the wear of a long marriage, the natural drift of family life. But a quiet doubt took root, growing with every odd glance and hushed conversation. One morning, I noticed something strange in the garage, dark oil stains on the concrete floor, right under my sedan. I'm no mechanic, but I keep my car in pristine condition. And those stains were new, out of place for a vehicle I just had serviced. I brushed it off at first, thinking Danny's late-night repairs were just sloppy. But a few days later, everything changed. I got in my car to head to the library, pressed the brake pedal, and felt it sink. Soft and unresponsive. My heart raced as I pumped it, panic surging. But nothing worked. I coasted to a stop in my driveway, hands shaking, and called a tow truck. My mind flooded with fear. The mechanic's words were a gut punch. He showed me the brake lines, sliced clean through, not worn or damaged by age. This was intentional, he said, his voice heavy. My thoughts spun. Danny was the last person in my garage, his tools still lying around. I remembered the oil stains, his late-night visits, and a cold dread settled in. That night, I did something unthinkable. I checked Tom's phone while he slept, my hands trembling with guilt. What I found broke me. Texts between Tom and Danny, flirty and intimate, filled with secret plans and inside jokes. My brother and my husband were involved, betraying me in a way I couldn't grasp. I sat in the dark, those messages searing into my mind. The oil stains weren't mistakes. They were evidence of Danny's tampering. Maybe to harm me. Maybe to bury their secret. My home, my safe haven, felt like a cage. My family, the heart of my life, was a lie. Why would the two people I loved most want me out of the picture? I didn't have all the answers. But I knew I couldn't stay quiet. A dangerous truth was unfolding, and I had to face it, no matter how much it hurt. This was just the beginning, and I was ready to fight for the truth. Thanks for joining me this far. Let us know where you're watching from today. And if you're new here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to join our growing community. This story's just getting started, and you won't want to miss what's next. Stick around, because it's about to get intense. Those oil stains under my garage floor weren't just a mess. They were a warning, a clue to a betrayal I never saw coming. The mechanic's words, "This was intentional," echoed in my mind, and the text between my brother Danny and my husband Tom burned behind my eyes. My family, my home, everything I'd built was crumbling, and I couldn't just stand there. Welcome back. Everyone, I'm Margaret, or Maggie as folks call me. And if you're following my story from Georgia, you know I'm unraveling a web of lies that started with cut brake lines. Thanks for being here, because this is where I start fighting back. I've always been the trusting type, the one who saw the best in people, especially family. Danny was my little brother, the kid I'd patched up and protected, and Tom was my rock, the man I'd built a life with for 25 years. But those flirty texts, the oil stains, and the severed brake lines, they were a wake-up call I couldn't ignore. I needed someone to lean on, someone who'd listen without sugarcoating the truth. That's when I turned to Eleanor, my best friend of 30 years. Eleanor's 62, sharp as a tack, and never one to shy away from hard conversations. I met Eleanor at our local diner, a cozy spot with checkered floors and the best peach pie in Georgia. Over coffee, I spilled everything: the brake lines, the oil stains, the texts between Danny and Tom. My hands shook as I showed her a screenshot I'd saved, my heart aching with every word. Eleanor listened, her eyes narrowing, and when I finished, she leaned forward. "Maggie, this isn't just an affair. Someone cut your brakes. You need to find out how deep this goes." Her words were a jolt, but they gave me clarity. I wasn't just hurt, I was in danger, and I had to act. Eleanor didn't let me wallow. "You're not the type to sit and cry," she said. "You're a librarian. You research. So research this." She was right. If Danny and Tom were hiding something, I'd uncover it. I started small, checking Tom's phone again when he was out with Danny, my stomach twisting with guilt. The texts were bolder now, talking about meeting at a bar called Rusty's Tavern, a dive on the edge of town. My hands trembled as I noted the time and place, feeling like a detective in my own life. I wasn't ready to confront them, but I needed to see it for myself. The next evening, Eleanor and I drove to Rusty's Tavern, parking across the street in her old sedan. The bar was dim, with neon signs and a jukebox playing country tunes. We slipped inside, sitting in a shadowy booth, my heart pounding like a drum. Around 9, Danny walked in, his mechanic's jacket slung over one shoulder. Minutes later, Tom followed, his eyes scanning the room before landing on Danny. They sat at the bar, close, their hands brushing as they laughed over beers. I felt my throat tighten, the air sucked out of me. Eleanor squeezed my arm. "You okay?" she whispered. I nodded, but I wasn't. This was real. I wanted to storm over, to scream, to demand answers, but Eleanor kept me grounded. "You need evidence, Maggie, not a fight," she said. She was right. A public scene would let them twist the story, and I needed something solid. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and snapped a photo of them. Their faces clear in the bar's dim light. It wasn't much, but it was proof. A piece of the puzzle. Driving home, I was quiet, the image seared into my mind. "What's next?" Eleanor asked. "I keep digging," I said. my voice steadier than I felt. I wasn't just looking for truth, I was fighting for my life. Back home, I couldn't look at Tom without seeing him with Danny, their laughter mocking me. He acted normal, asking about dinner, but every word felt like a lie. I started noticing details. I'd missed a receipt in his pocket for a bar I'd never been to. A faint cologne on his shirt that wasn't his. Each clue was a knife. But I kept going. I checked the garage again, finding more oil stains, fresh ones, as if Danny hadn't stopped tampering. The brake lines kept haunting me. Was it a warning? Or something worse? I needed more than photos and text to understand how far they'd go. Eleanor suggested a hidden recorder, something to catch their words. I bought a small device online, hiding it in the garage the next time Danny came over. When he left, I listened to the recording, my heart sinking as I heard him mutter about fixing the car and keeping her out of the way. It wasn't a confession, but it was close, and it fueled my resolve. I wasn't just Maggie the librarian anymore. I was a woman on a mission, and I wouldn't stop until I had the full truth. Thanks for sticking with me. Everyone, what do you think Maggie should do next? Drop a comment below. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. We're diving deeper soon, and it's going to get wild. The photo of Danny and Tom at Rusty's Tavern was a wound I couldn't close, their laughter a constant echo in my mind. That recording from the garage, with Danny's cryptic words about keeping her out of the way, turned my fear into fire. I wasn't just dealing with an affair, I was fighting for my life. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Maggie Thompson, and if you're following my story from Georgia, you know I'm unraveling a betrayal that started with oil stains and cut brake lines. Thanks for being here, because this part gets heavier, and I'm counting on you to stick with me. I couldn't carry this alone anymore. The weight of Danny and Tom's secret was crushing, and I needed someone else in my corner. I decided to tell Sarah, my 30-year-old niece, Danny's daughter. Sarah's always been like a daughter to me, her warmth a bright spot in our family. I invited her over for coffee, my hands trembling as I set out mugs in my kitchen. When she arrived, her nurse's scrub still on. I hesitated. How do you tell someone their father's betraying the family? But I couldn't hide it. Sarah, I think your dad and Tom are involved, and it's not just an affair, I said, my voice breaking. Sarah's face froze, her eyes wide with shock. Aunt Maggie, that's crazy. Dad and Uncle Tom? No way. She shook her head, like she could will it away. I showed her the photo from the bar, the recording from the garage, and told her about the brake lines. Her expression shifted to anger, but it was aimed at me. You're wrong, Dad's not perfect, but he'd never hurt you. This is a mistake. Her words cut deep, like I was the one tearing us apart. We argued, our voices echoing in the quiet house, until she stormed out, leaving me alone with my doubts. Had I lost her too? Sarah's rejection stung, but it also sharpened my focus. If she needed proof, I'd find it, for her and for myself. I started digging deeper, treating my own home like a mystery to solve. One night, while Tom was out with Danny, I checked our joint bank account online, something I hadn't done in years. What I found made my blood run cold. Over the past year, thousands of dollars had been transferred to an account I didn't know. Small sums at first, then larger ones, totaling over $30,000. My hands shook as I printed the statements, each transaction a betrayal. This wasn't just love, it was a plan. I called Eleanor, my voice barely steady as I told her about the money. Maggie, this is bigger than an affair, she said. They're stealing from you, maybe building a whole new life. Her words sent a chill through me. I went through Tom's desk, finding a hidden folder with documents about our house, the one I'd inherited from our parents. One paper stopped me cold, a draft agreement to sell the property, with Danny's signature and Tom's initials. They were planning to take my home, my legacy, to fund whatever they were dreaming up. The brake lines felt like part of it, a way to scare me, or worse. That discovery broke something in me, but it also built something stronger. I wasn't just a betrayed wife and sister. I was a woman fighting for survival. I started keeping a notebook, logging every piece of evidence: the photo, the recording, the bank transfers, the sale documents. I hid it in a locked drawer, a shield against their lies. I also watched Tom and Danny closely. Tom's excuses grew lazier, like he didn't care if I noticed. Danny kept coming to the garage, leaving fresh oil stains, as if he was still tampering. Their boldness fueled my anger, pushing me to act. I contacted the mechanic again, asking for a written report on the brake lines. He emailed a detailed account, confirming the cuts were deliberate, requiring tools and intent. I saved it, adding it to my growing file. Eleanor suggested a lawyer, someone to protect my assets before Danny and Tom could take more. "You're not just fighting for truth," she said. "You're fighting for your future." Her words hit home. I wasn't ready to go legal yet, but I knew I needed to be smart, to stay one step ahead of the men who turned my family into a battlefield. Sarah's anger still hurt, but I understood it. She loved her father, and I'd raised her to see the good in him. I sent her a text, apologizing for our fight and promising I'd only come to her with undeniable proof. Deep down, I hoped she'd see the truth before it was too late. For now, I focused on my next move. I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was building a case to protect myself and expose Danny and Tom for what they'd done. The brother and husband I'd loved were gone, replaced by strangers, and I was ready to face them. Thank you for staying with this story. What do you think about Sarah's reaction? Let me know in the comments. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. We've got more to uncover, and it's going to be intense. The bank statements and that sale agreement for my house were like a match to dry tinder, igniting a fury I'd never known. Danny and Tom weren't just betraying me with their secret affair. They were stealing my home, my family's legacy, and possibly my life with those cut brake lines. I was done being the trusting sister and wife who looked the other way. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Maggie Thompson, and if you're following my story from our small Georgia town, you know I'm fighting a war that began with oil stains under my garage floor. Thanks for being here, because this is where it all explodes, and you won't want to miss a second. I spent days after uncovering those documents in a storm of resolve. The evidence was undeniable: the tampered brake lines, the hidden bank account, the flirty texts, and now a scheme to sell my inherited house. But I wasn't going to let Danny and Tom destroy me. Eleanor kept urging me to act, suggesting a private investigator to dig deeper. But I needed to face this myself. I wanted to look into their eyes and see the men they'd become. That's when I crafted a plan, one that would either break me or set me free. I decided to host a family dinner, inviting Danny, Tom, and Sarah to lay their lies bare in front of everyone. I called Tom first, my voice deliberately warm, saying I wanted to heal our rift after recent tension. He sounded skeptical, but agreed, likely thinking I was still clueless. Next, I phoned Danny, framing it as a family night to reconnect, just like old times. He fell for it, his tone carefree, oblivious to the trap I was setting. Sarah was harder. Our fight had left her distant. But I texted her, promising a chance to talk and clear the air. Her reply was curt, but she agreed to come. My heart pounded as I planned, knowing this dinner would change our family forever. Eleanor insisted on being there, offering to stay in the kitchen as backup. "You're not doing this alone," she said, and her loyalty steadied me. To prepare, I met Eleanor at her house, spreading my evidence across her oak dining table like a battle map: the photo from Rusty's Tavern, the garage recording, the bank statements, the sale agreement, the mechanic's report. I organized it meticulously, like cataloging books in my old library job, each piece a weapon in my arsenal. I also installed a security camera in the garage, tucked behind a shelf, hoping to catch Danny if he tampered again. 2 nights before the dinner, the camera recorded him sneaking in, tools in hand, leaving fresh oil stains. His whispered words about finishing the job sent a shiver through me. I downloaded the footage, adding it to my collection. This wasn't just about betrayal, it was about survival. The night of the dinner, my house felt like a theater, every detail staged. I set the table with our finest china, lit candles, and prepared a feast of fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and peach cobbler, creating a facade of warmth. Sarah arrived first, her eyes wary but softened by the familiar setting. Tom and Danny came together, laughing like nothing was wrong, their ease making my stomach churn. We sat, exchanging small talk about the weather and Sarah's work, but the air was heavy, like a storm about to break. I watched Danny's smug grin, Tom's forced smile, and Sarah's nervous glances, my pulse racing as I waited for the perfect moment. Halfway through, I took a deep breath and began. Family's supposed to be about trust. Isn't it? I said, locking eyes with Tom. So why do I feel like I'm the only one telling the truth here? The room fell silent, forks pausing midair. I pulled out the photo of Danny and Tom at the bar, sliding it across the table. Explain this, I said, my voice steady. Sarah gasped, her hand covering her mouth. Tom's face drained of color, and Danny forced a laugh, trying to dismiss it. But I wasn't done. I laid out the bank statements, the sale agreement for the house, and the mechanic's report about the brake lines. I played the garage recording, Danny's voice booming about keeping her out of the way. Sarah's eyes widened, her hands trembling. "Dad, what's going on?" she demanded, her voice breaking. Tom stammered, claiming it was all a mistake, but Danny's smirk vanished as I revealed the security footage. His tampering caught in vivid detail. I stood, my voice unwavering. You cut my brake lines, stole my money, and planned to sell my home. You wanted me gone to hide your affair. Sarah rose, tears streaming down her face, and faced Danny. "How could you do this?" she whispered, her voice raw. Danny lunged, shouting that I'd fabricated everything, his face red with desperation. But Sarah stepped back, shaking her head, her trust in him shattered. Tom sat frozen, his excuses crumbling like sand. "I'm done with your lies," I said. "I'm taking this to the police and the courts. You're finished." The room crackled with tension, their panic a stark contrast to my calm. Eleanor stepped out from the kitchen, her presence a quiet warning. I'd turned their game against them, and they knew it. Thank you for being here for this showdown. What would you have done at that dinner? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. The final part is coming, and it's going to be a wild ride. The dining room was a war zone. The silence heavy after Sarah's tearful question to Danny echoed in the air. My evidence, the photo from Rusty's tavern, the bank statements, the garage footage, lay bare on the table, exposing Danny and Tom's affair and their sinister plan to steal my home and possibly my life. I'd flipped their lies against them, and they were cornered. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Maggie Thompson, and if you followed my story from our quiet Georgia town, you've seen me confront a betrayal that cut to my core. Thanks for being here for the final chapter, because this is where I reclaim my life, and it's a triumph worth sharing. Danny's desperation broke first. He stood, his face red, begging Sarah to believe him. "It's all fake," he shouted, but her tears and shaking head stopped him cold. Tom tried to salvage his crumbling facade, his voice weak. "Maggie, you've misunderstood," he said, but I cut him off. "No more lies," I said, my voice steady as stone. Eleanor stood in the kitchen doorway, her presence a quiet strength. I told Tom to leave, and he did, head bowed, his defeat clear. Danny followed, muttering threats, but Sarah's rejection had shattered him. That night, my house felt empty, but I felt a spark of freedom, like I'd finally broken chains I hadn't seen. The next day, I met with a lawyer named Linda, a fierce advocate who saw the resolve in my eyes. I handed her my evidence, the bar photo, the garage recording, the bank statements showing $30,000 stolen, the sale agreement for my house, the mechanic's report, the security footage of Danny tampering. "This is a slam dunk," she said. "Adultery, fraud, attempted harm. They'll get nothing." I filed for divorce from Tom, ensuring he couldn't touch my assets or the house, my parents' legacy. Linda helped freeze the secret bank account, recovering most of the stolen funds. I was rebuilding my life, piece by piece, with a strength I hadn't known I had. I took the brake line evidence to the police, my hands steady as I presented the mechanic's report and garage footage. They opened an investigation, and Danny folded under questioning, admitting he'd tampered with the car to scare me, though he denied intent to kill. The police charged him with reckless endangerment, and he was arrested. His name ruined in our small town. Tom, humiliated by the public scandal, left Georgia, his career and reputation in tatters. Their dream of a new life together crumbled, their betrayal leaving them with nothing but the wreckage of their choices. Sarah was my deepest concern. I called her after the dinner, my heart heavy with our shared pain. She came to my house the next day, her eyes red from crying. We sat on my porch swing, a place of countless memories, and talked. "I'm so sorry I doubted you," she said, her voice breaking as she hugged me tightly. We cried, mending the rift between us, and she vowed to stand by me. Her love was a lifeline, proof that family could be salvaged. I decided to move to a nearby city, closer to Sarah, craving a fresh start away from the shadows of Danny and Tom's deceit. The house in Georgia, once my sanctuary, was haunted by betrayal. I listed it for sale. Standing in the front yard as the for sale sign went up, I expected grief, but instead, I felt liberated, like shedding a heavy burden. The divorce settlement and recovered funds gave me enough to begin anew. I rented a bright apartment in the city, filling it with books, plants, and photos of Sarah and me, creating a space that felt truly mine. Starting over was daunting, but it was also a gift, a chance to redefine who I was beyond the roles of wife and sister. In my new city, I found purpose. Sarah introduced me to a women's group for those who'd faced betrayal, and I shared my story. Nervous at first, but empowered by their empathy, I became a regular, helping others find their voice, just as Eleanor had done for me. I started a book club, focusing on stories of resilience and courage, building a community of women who'd rebuilt their lives. My pain became a bridge, connecting me to others, and I felt alive in ways I hadn't in years. Danny and Tom's betrayal was a storm that could have destroyed me, but it revealed my strength. I'm Maggie, a woman who faced lies and danger and emerged whole. If you're watching and feel trapped by deceit, know this: you are enough, and you can rise. Trust your instincts, fight for your worth, and never let anyone dim your light. I did, and I'm free. Thank you for walking this path with me. Share your thoughts in the comments. What did this story stir in you? If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. Next week, we're diving into another tale of courage and secrets, so stay tuned. Your support means the world, and I can't wait to share more.